You are now live. It is saying I am live. Kate, let's pop
Oh,
you.
there.
There's
Oh, I see.
Kate.
We're on both sides.
Do you see us in the group live right now, Kate?
I see me. I don't see anybody else. Anything else?
In the Facebook group, do you see us live?
Do I see you live in the Facebook group? You on Facebook? Let
Yeah,
me see.
we should be in. I have to figure out how to get me up there. Oh, yes, I do see us. So this is good. Hello,
Wow.
everybody. If you guys are tuning in,
Okay.
we are having some problems, but here is totally Kenda, not technically good with any of this.
Pretty good.
There. Oh,
There you are.
good. I've got my ugly green screen though. I don't have the really nice,
That's
cool
okay.
settings that we normally have, Kate.
That's
Okay,
okay.
now I wonder if Annie will be able to find her way on here too. I'm hoping she can. I sent her the app. Everybody, hello, hello, hello. Oh my gosh. Oh, Kate, I see us and two people are watching us. Yay.
Hey, too.
You guys don't realize how much stress Kate and I are under trying to do these things. I don't know what happened. Zoom is crazy today, and the integration between Zoom and Facebook just didn't happen. Oh, look, we've got we've got Annie, and I think I can pop her in.
Oh,
Yay! This is so good.
the thorn between the roses.
Yeah, I think we're all roses.
We're all roses.
Annie, you
I am the thorn.
yeah,
No, you
we're
are
all
not.
roses. You are good, girl, because I just threw this at you last minute. So everybody on the group, apologies. I don't know what's going on, but Kate had mentioned last week that Facebook was maybe going to do some funky things starting September. Here we are, September 1st. I think the funky thing started. So, nonetheless, we are here. Annie has joined us live. Thank you. I'm so glad you figured out that last minute.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Wonderful to have you here. Welcome, everybody. Welcome. We are here today, and I'm a little frazzled, but I think I'm going to be okay.
Take
It's
a
like,
breath.
I know, I need to take a breath. Holy cow. So, let's start at the top. Let's start as if any of this
Yep.
technology mess did not happen. I'm going to take a nice deep breath in.
All of us.
Yeah, all of us.
Everybody in the audience as well. We all need to breathe.
Anyone in the audience, please join us. Yeah, if you knew the stress level I was at, and Kate, and I'm going to give myself a nice resource, which is going to calm me down and get me into state. So, welcome everybody. Welcome, Annie. I'm glad you could join us. And today we are going to be discussing depression. So, depression is interesting because I got to watch my face here because the thing is different. But depression is often referred to as the fourth stage of grief. And it sometimes feels like the quiet stage. I find that it's the stage most of us can relate to. And it's the stage that a lot of us, depending on where you are in that timeline, a lot of us are feeling that depression right now. So when people are depressed, what exactly does that mean? It can mean a whole bunch of things, but often it represents emptiness, right? That feeling that we're alone. At this point in grief, we know our lives have changed. We know our pet's not coming back. A lot of the times we likely feel very, very numb. We feel like we're walking around in a bit of a fog. You've heard the expression grief brain. So that kind of is significant of that fog. There may be even days that we don't want to get out of bed or brush our teeth or comb our hair. We just want to live in our pajamas all day long. And life becomes really, really difficult. Sometimes it can even become overwhelming. And I want people to know, because I kind of work with the brain in my occupation, but the brain actually creates this fog as a protective mechanism, because right now it's protecting us from the pain that we've experienced. So it wants to protect us from feeling that pain. And the body is an incredible thing. As I said, it's been dealing with grief for hundreds and thousands of years. So we know how to grieve. It's sometimes the head gets in the way. At this point, I always tell people, don't compare your emotions to somebody else's. Especially, you can be looking on the Facebook group and you can be going, well, so and so is doing really, really good and they seem to be having positive days. Why is it that I have, more down days than they're having? It's really important to not compare your grief. And we have to be careful with depression, because often when we're depressed, we're gonna isolate from the world. We're going to shut people out of our lives. We don't want to go out. We don't want to socialize. I mean, the way we can socialize in this world right now. But life's not the same for us. And if you are feeling sad, like, I mean, really, really sad, like you can't go to work, you can't go to school, you can't function, your symptoms are really, really severe, you need to talk to somebody. You need to talk to us in the group. You need to talk to a friend or a relative, somebody that knows you well, because often these people can see what you're not seeing, and you may need to get some professional help at this point. So that's my little take on depression. Kate, I'm going to throw this over to you now, and can you give us some idea of what your take on depression is?
Yeah, well, I often hear the term, there's a hole in my heart, and that's kind of where depression is. When you feel like there's something missing and you're not completely whole, that you were whole with your pet. Now that your pet's gone, you feel that you're not whole and that you feel empty. So that's when you find yourself saying that, you're in depression. The other thing is that depression is defined as anger turned inward. So we can be angry at someone else, but we get depressed. When we get depressed, we become angry with ourselves. And that's a red flag, because that's where we sometimes say, I don't want to go on without him or her. I don't want to live without him or her. I want to be there too. And that's where we got an echo here. Yeah. Um, that's where we have to be really careful with the suicidal ideations
Yes.
and have to realize that it is a stage of grief. It's not a way of being, and it's going to pass. And I think sometimes people who have been successful with the suicide didn't know that. They just thought they'd feel like this forever and ever, and that's why they left. So
Yeah,
it's really important to be aware of that.
that's frightening, Kate. That's really, really frightening, because in those early initial times, we are broken. We are so broken. And often, if we haven't dealt with previous losses, that depression is magnified 1,000 times, right?
Sure it is. Sure it is.
Like, I think of your story in particular, where you lost Jack one day and then the next day you lost your father. And I can't even imagine what your world would have been like at that time.
Well, what it was like is I lost Jack, I lost my dad, and then 2 months later, I lost the house I'd been clinging to and trying to keep. And then I figured that was October. And when December 31st came along, I broke off my 12-year engagement. I'm like, I'm just
Oh,
going to,
wow.
you're not supposed to do that. You don't make that kind of decision when you're grieving. But I did. I'm like, I'm getting this all out of the way now. But I went many, many, many nights without one moment of sleep. So the other part of depression is the physical manifestations that come. You can't sleep. You either eat too much, or you don't eat enough, or you don't drink enough water, or you drink too much wine. There's a lot, it's almost like a test to see if you're willing to heal, because you really want to find the things that just comfort you and take you away from the world. And
Yeah. Yeah. Shut the world out right now, because that is not, the outside world and everything outside of your little domain is like, I remember when my father died and I was coming out of the hospice, and I can just remember everything was happening so quick. The traffic was moving quickly, people were walking quickly, every life was going on, and I just wanted everything to stop, because I'm like, my father just died, and it's almost like you want to shelter yourself from the rest of the world, because the rest of the world does not understand what you know at that time, right?
that's right. I remember reading Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Successful People. And
Yeah.
he was on a subway in New York one day, and it was a very pleasant, quiet ride until the doors opened and this family got on. It was a man and his children, and the children were just so terribly behaved, and they were all over the place, and they were screaming and yelling. And as they went to get off the station, a woman said, "It would be really nice if you could control your children once in a while." And the man said, "Well, we're just coming from the hospital where their mother just died, so I hope you'd forgive them this day, this particular."
Oh,
But
seriously?
there's always a perspective that we don't see that we need to consider.
Oh my God. Oh
We're
my
not
God.
gotta step in their shoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Annie, do you feel comfortable sharing with the group right now? If you don't, you don't have to. Um, I'd love to know what your experience with depression has been.
For me, I feel like I missed my old self. So I was kind of very upset that I couldn't get to how things were.
Uh-huh.
So, and I still think like I feel like that's not ever coming back. I just feel sad about that.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been very slow, I feel. So, and I don't know if it's ever going to get to that point. That I don't know. I just sometimes I feel like I don't like this person that I am now.
Oh,
It's yes,
you're in
it's like
transition.
yeah, like I identified a lot with everything that I did was with indie, and I miss that, and I just don't like how things are now.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
How Remind everybody how long ago your loss was?
9 months. Nine
Okay. So,
months. Yeah, right. A day before Thanksgiving. Yeah,
oh gosh, so you're coming up to
November. Yeah,
yeah.
November 26th, and it's hard to believe that it's gone so fast, now. But and then it's like, have I been doing this for this long?
You have,
Yeah.
and that's normal. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I was at
Yeah.
the year mark before I wasn't blubbering all over
Yeah.
the place. But I understand the wanting to go back to the way things were, but you're right, you'll never be,
Yeah.
because like we talked about last week, Elizabeth Kubler-Ross says death is the final stage of growth. There's always growth, and it's transformation. It's like a butterfly coming out. You
That's
you won't
beautiful.
realize that until you're facing something else someday, and you'll say, "Wow, I'm so much better at it than I used to be. I have so much more faith. I have so much more knowledge and wisdom."
And you know what I found too, girls? I found that after I had come to terms with all the losses that I've had, and kind of compartmentalized everything, it was, what do I take away from death? It's like, what did I learn? What did I learn about myself? And I think that's a really, really important question, because like you said, Annie, you just want your old self back again, that old self that we all know you can never be. But once you can kind of put everything into perspective, it's okay, now this is the way life is. This is who I am. And what did you learn from everything? That to me was a really huge moment because number one, it made me realize, in reference to my dog, that I missed having a friend.
Mm-hmm.
I missed having somebody around. It took me 3 years to get another one, but I knew at that point that I missed and needed another dog. But it took me 3 years. I'm just thinking family members. There's so many lessons there that we learn, and we change, right? We become different people.
Mm-hmm.
I think death, this may sound weird, but in my case, I feel death made me a better person because I am way more aware that we never, tomorrow's not promised. What's that? That phrase?
Not to take things for granted.
Yeah. Yeah, that tomorrow's not promised, that none of us know what tomorrow is going to bring. So I always try to live in the moment and to be appreciative of everybody and everything that's in my life, knowing that none of us know what's going to happen tomorrow. And I don't know, that's something that I've learned from my experiences with all the people that I've lost. How about you, Kate? What are your kind of takeaways?
I think we have to be really careful not to judge ourselves where we're at. We have to accept ourselves where we're at. So that's the first thing. And I think that, we think that we're broken. We're not broken. We're reparable. We're going to be in a state of repair for a while, and we'll be whole again, and we'll feel whole again. It takes some time. And Elizabeth always said, that you'll be different when you come out of this. How does she say this? You won't be the same, nor would you want to be.
Want to be, yeah.
I know a lot of people don't like to hear that are freshly grieving, but it's true, because you're going to get to that place and you'll never want to go back. You'd love to have your pet back in the way that you had them when you had them, but you would never want to go back to who you are once you've grown out of that.
No.
So I guess that's the day you've healed, when you can look back and say, you know what, I'm okay, and I'm going to go forward as the new me.
Yeah. Feeling more love than pain, right, Kate? Like
Sure.
When you can look back on the memory, it's so funny. And Annie, maybe you can relate to this, but so many people, when they're replaying that last memory of their pet, they're going over the tragedy, the last moments, whatever they were. And I know for myself now, when I look back, I don't focus on that last moment. I focus on how soft her ears were and how she made me smile, and just the wonderful things about her that mean love.
Mm-hmm.
And very, very rare that I go back to the sadness.
Mm-hmm.
And Kate, can you relate?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, the last thing Jack wants is for me to think about how he disrupted my life. Yeah, he wants me to just think about him the way he'd think about me, with love and affection and gratitude for the time we had together.
Right.
Oh my God. If I'd never met him, we would not be here today. What if I had never taken the chance?
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known what regret I would have had, because I wouldn't have known any better.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're so blessed to have had these pets. Oh my God.
Yeah. And Annie, do you see yourself at some point getting another pet?
I feel like I'm I don't know, I want to, because I want to kind of save someone, almost like rescue another dog, but it feels like almost like I'm betraying Indy. I don't know why I feel that way. I'm not sure. Because I feel like he was he was like the perfect dog, and I feel like sometimes I took it for granted, knowing that now that I see so many other dogs, I've had the opportunity to meet other dogs and spend some time with them, and every time I compare with Indy, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe how good I had it with him.
Oh,
He was like so perfect,
how good.
and it makes me miss him even more.
Yes.
Yeah, and like you said, like the ears, the feel of the ears. I miss
Yeah.
like smelling his neck and putting my face there, and like you said, those things make me happy. So I don't want to think about those, the last moments, So I want to get there. I want to get there and not think about those ever again because it's just so sad. But yeah, just think about the
It's
good times.
the good time, and it takes
Yeah.
time. That's the hardest part. It's and we're so impatient, right? Like it's I can't tell you how many times, and I'm sure Kate, you can relate to this, where people are contacting us offline and say, "When is this going to end?
Yeah.
When is this hurt going to stop? Because I can't handle this anymore. Like it's been a month and I'm not any better." And you know, you just go, "Oh my goodness!" Like you need longer. And but that's so hard to say to somebody. How do you say to somebody who's totally broken that they need to continue to feel this way for a while? It's it's allowing people to process what they need to process so that they can heal.
That's
And that's
change. That's how much we change because we need all that time to transform. We can't
yeah,
rush through it, and we don't transform over every single death that we experience. A lot of people. My dad, I grieved really fast for him. I kind of had to because I wanted to get back to Jack. Sorry, Dad.
yeah,
But a
yeah.
lot of people have experienced the loss of a family member or grandparents, and it's sad and it's hard, but it's not that heart and soul unconditional love of the pet.
Yeah.
It's a whole different kind of relationship, and that's
Absolutely.
we need to be patient with ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, because you hear the horror stories of people that rush the process and they're rushing through all the stages and they're stuffing their feelings down, they're stuffing their emotions, they're not talking about it to anybody. And man, oh man, do those people suffer later on in life?
So
You know,
it'll come back. Whatever they don't deal with comes back later.
absolutely.
May as well just do it all now.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate, do you have a reading for us today?
Sure I do.
I'd love to. I'd love for you to share that with us. It's my favorite part. And I'm just
Oh,
checking
sweet.
and see if you guys out there, oh, here's Teresa.
Hi, Teresa.
I was trying to get a hold of you.
Made it.
She's seeing us now. Teresa, we got to talk later. Teresa, if you have any correct questions, please feel free to leave them for Kate and I, and even Annie. Annie's here to help out too.
I'm just trying to get people to jumpstart joining.
There you
Uh,
I have nothing. I know nothing else.
go.
we'll
You
give
go
you
on,
a
girl.
we'll give you a name. We'll give you a name when you come to work for us.
Yeah, there you go.
Our assistant what?
I'll help with IT. I'm an
Our,
IT person.
our recruiter.
She's our grief keeper, our grief recruiter.
Oh, there we go. Well, I've got the depression chapter in Only Gone is quite long. Whoops, there.
And yeah, because I don't have my pretty little backdrop like I used to have.
Okay. Here, I'll put this. Oh, I can't put it over you. I was going to put it over here. Anyway, so I just took I've outlined a few things to put them all together to be a full reading. So I won't read the whole thing, but enough so that you understand depression. It's Jack is speaking. Jack is speaking to me here, but your pet is speaking to you here as well. So you have no energy left. You have no desire to fight anymore. The battle is over. You feel you have lost, but you have not lost. You are surrendering because you finally realize that the only way to win is to surrender. You have to admit that there is absolutely nothing you can do to bring me back. There's also no one else to blame and nowhere to run from this life without me. You have been living in limbo while wallowing through the twilight zone of grief. Now you must find out who you are without me. That's what we were talking about, right?
Yeah.
To outsiders, depression seems simply to be an emotional condition that may be flat or sad or apathetic. In reality, unexpressed anger must go somewhere, and its natural course is to turn inward, attacking the very one who feels it. Depression is your anger turned inward. It gives up the fight, and it wears and tears on your own self-esteem. It can't shake the guilt. The residue of your own unresolved anger can attack you like a masochist. And we haven't even started talking about guilt and blame and shame and all of that. That's surrounds every single stage we're talking about. Um, grief is a normal Grief's fourth stage is a normal reaction to the stress of loss, although sometimes it can trigger a medical or psychiatric emergency if it gets serious enough. Acute depression can come in response to the need to adjust to something painful and permanent. Healing is a fine line. Grief's depression is not something that needs to be fixed. It arises from life circumstances that one must feel and express in order to grow. There is no guilt, no blame, no shame. Those things do not even exist. They are just illusions of the human mind. You believe in them because someone at one time taught you that they are real, but they are not real. What a waste to spend one's life under these conditions. There is no freedom in a life filled with shame. There is only the continual, ongoing need to feel good enough for something. You are good enough. Do you remember how I looked at you? My eyes adored you. I saw you at your best. I witnessed you at your worst. I saw things no one else would ever see. I loved you inside and out, and through it all I saw the truth of who you are. Why can't you see it too? Be willing to feel the pain and have faith that pain, like everything else, is transitional. It is a teacher. Ask it what it has to teach you, for on the other side of the pain, you will learn something important about who you are. Is that good enough for now? I don't want to keep dominating this. There's a lot more to read.
Making us cry.
Oh, that's a good thing, though. I'm sorry, but it's a good thing.
I'm wiping her eyes, and I'm like, oh, Kate. You're
I
such
know.
an amazing writer. It's your words are Jack's words are so I can't say beautiful because he's a boy, but they really are.
Yes.
He doesn't mind being beautiful.
Yeah, they just cut right to the core. And I saw Annie's waterworks going, and then mine were going, and I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah.
You should have seen me writing these books.
Oh,
I
Kate.
can imagine.
Oh my gosh.
But every time I think about that, I always think about Indy whenever I hear Jack talk. I don't know. It just, there's so much similar. So I bet a lot of people in the group feel the same way. That
it's
they
every voice.
see. Yeah.
What do we say? Our story is your story too. It's the same voice.
Yeah.
It comes from the same place. It all comes from heaven, from the love that is heaven.
It's beautiful, Kate. It's beautiful. And
yes,
you know, it doesn't it make you think, Annie? Like when you hear those words, don't you stop and kind of process things a little bit different and go, okay, that's why I'm feeling what I'm feeling.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely does. And it's like, because my sister is a psychologist, so she kept telling me, Indy wouldn't want, just think about what Indy would want for you right now.
Right.
So it's just put yourself into, from his perspective. He would want you to be happy. He wouldn't want you to, just your life to be cut off and not go on anymore. So
he wouldn't want you to be alone either.
Yeah,
No.
that's true.
He'll guide you. He'll guide you to the right one at the right time. But you're not ready, or you wouldn't be thinking
Right.
the way you're thinking.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Isn't it funny, guys, how everybody is on a different line, Kate?
On a different line?
You're making me cry.
Now.
I can remember I used to have Great Danes, and I call them heartbreakers because they don't live very long, 5-6 years.
Yeah.
Maybe a little bit longer than that, 6-7 years, but they have the biggest hearts, but they don't live long. And when I lost my first Great Dane, my husband at the time, I mean, I know he meant the right thing to do, but the very next day he comes home with this brand new Great Dane puppy.
Oh my. Oh
And
my.
he brings the puppy in and he puts her on the floor, and I'm looking at her and I'm crying my eyes out, and I'm like, what do you want me to do with this? And he's going, what do you mean? Like, I thought this would make you happy. And
Uh,
now looking back on it, I mean, it came from a place of love, but I was just not ready. But I mean, what do? You've got this little puppy and you can't help but fall in love. And I mean, everything worked out. But if I had to go back and do that all over again, oh my gosh, that was a really tough time for me, because he didn't even allow me any time to process my grief. I had to, it's like, okay, you have to deal with this puppy. You're back to puppy training and all that other stuff. So I guess maybe part of me was resentful for not being able to mourn my first dog, but then it was half of me was resentful and half of me was love, because look at this little face here. It was confusing. So
it
I,
was
I
a dear gesture. He was giving you what he would want if he were you,
Yeah.
but he wasn't putting himself in your shoes. And that's a whole nother conversation about how people respond to us when we're in depression. It's a whole, because it just goes on and on and on and on. And they're
they
like,
try their best, right? But they just want us to be ourselves again, right?
Yeah.
yeah, haven't you grieved long enough? No,
Oh, yeah.
no, I haven't actually.
And that was before, that you even know that grief is a process. It's yeah, we have to be really, really careful with the people in our lives that mean well,
Oh,
but
yeah.
they don't necessarily understand, right?
Right.
Do you have associations with that, Annie?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even my mom loved Indy so much, and actually, she shared, she had some dreams about him. It was just really beautiful. But she loved Indy. But at some point, like I remembered, I was just so sad and depressed, even worse than now. Of course, maybe this was 3 months ago, and she is like, I've been just she just didn't want me to feel that way. And she said, when is this? Do you see what's happening in the world? This is when the pandemic first started and lots of people were dying. And she said, do you see what's happening in the world? People are losing their mothers, fathers, sisters, brothers, and you are still crying about this. And that upset me so much, because to me, and I said, I don't care. This is where my love is concentrated on right now. This is who I love. I mean, I of course I feel bad about all those people, but I lived with this person. It was him and I for so many years. I didn't have anyone else.
Right, right.
And it just that's when it kind of clicked on her that, of course, I'll have to go through all this and
Yeah.
at my own pace and whenever I'm ready.
Right.
But yeah,
Well, it's complicated. It's complicated with the pandemic. There's a lot of
Oh,
complicated grief with the pandemic. People
yeah,
who died alone or couldn't be with their loved ones when they died, and oh my gosh.
yeah,
that's a whole other rabbit hole, like Kate.
It
Like
is.
I think of I read one article in the paper, and it was this is a little graphic. I'll try to rephrase it. It was a refrigeration unit that was found at a funeral home that had been forgotten about. And when they opened the back of the truck up, they found like 100 bodies inside.
oh gosh,
And yeah, I can't even put my mind to comprehend how awful that would be for the family members of these people, you know. Um, but that's that. And when, like you said, Annie, like you've got your own stuff to
yeah,
process, and
You're grieving about a dog.
yeah,
That's a
right,
gosh, yeah, then
thing. Look at what's going on.
I know. Then there's those
Yes,
people
I
that are,
am.
that's how she phrased it, I mean,
yeah, yeah. But all loss is important. All grief is is to be recognized, and it doesn't matter what the loss is. And you know, I feel very passionate about that. Those people that say that, and I can tell you where that passion came from. And it didn't come from Stella. I guess part of it did. I lost my sister and my brother-in-law 25 years ago. They were killed in an accident where 18-wheeler hit them. And I went to some group sessions to, of course, feel better. And I went to one at a hospital, and it was a general meeting where everybody just kind of went around the circle and told about their loss. And when I got to mine, I told them that I'd lost 2 people, and of course the circumstances and whatnot. And then I don't know if it was just me, maybe just not being ready, but I felt very like, you lost your sister and your brother-in-law, whippy-doo. I lost a baby. This other person lost somebody who they've been married to for 50 years. And my loss was made feel very insignificant.
Wow. And everyone's loss is the most important loss.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Like, Kate, I mean, man,
Wow,
we
that's
love
awful.
that, right? And I
What a
can remember leaving there and just being angry and crying and just feeling like nobody understood me. And I know validation, right? You got it, girl. And I know my passion with pet loss comes from that space, because God dang it, my dogs are my life, you know.
Yeah.
And don't tell me they're not important, because they're as important to me as your child is to you, or your husband, or whatever. And I don't know, people have to realize that it's nice that we have our own little groups, right? That
Yes.
we're not on a loss group that has human loss in there. I mean, of course, human loss can happen to us, but it's we have our own area where our pets are on the top of the totem pole, and I think that's where they need to be, at least in my mind.
Right.
I just
Yeah.
pictured that totem pole.
Yeah, I know.
It,
With
Cindy
everybody,
carved in there and Jack carved in there.
everybody's pets on there, and that's I feel I'm very, very passionate about it, and that's part of the reason why I love the groups, the ones that Kate and I have in particular, because we don't focus necessarily. Yes, you have to grieve. Yes, you have to go through the processing, but we also give you hope. We let you. We lead you towards the light at the end of the tunnel, and that's so important, so that you can get back to realizing who you are. It's almost like death is a wake-up call to show you that you're going to, it's like the butterfly, right? The caterpillar to the butterfly. And Elizabeth Kubler-Ross used to talk about that all the time. There'd be butterflies in the patient's rooms at the hospices where she would go around and visit. And the purpose of the butterflies was to show people that they were transitioning, you know, and they were turning into something more beautiful. And I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. Does anybody have any questions for us? Teresa, it looks like you are on here. Well, there's 4 people watching us, but I'm not sure if anybody has any questions. Annie, do you have any questions for us? You've got 2 of us here. We can't go anywhere.
You sort of answered them through this, but I'm thinking about. I should take my time and prepare my questions before the meeting.
Here,
That's
I can read just the
yeah.
It's from Reflections. It's a
Please
dog.
do.
It's a dog's version of excuse me. I lost my
Depression again?
depression. It's the dog's version of going through this depressive stage.
Okay.
Please, yeah, share with us.
The puppy mill lady glared at Kate, and she was angry with me. You need to show these dogs who's boss. She pressed me hard and harder into the sidewalk on my back with her hands on my front legs like handcuffs. I could not escape. I tried for a little while, but then I gave up because she was just stronger than I was. This is kind of how it is with grief and loss. You enter innocently into a situation. The situation challenges all that you have ever been. You fight, You flail, you do whatever you can to change it, to bring your loved one back, but all to no avail. You eventually realize that it is just a waste of your time and energy, and you are forced to give up. You surrender to the circumstances. Like me, pinned to the sidewalk, it wasn't until I stopped struggling and became obedient that I was allowed to rise up out of the situation.
Wow.
That's our little metaphor.
I like that. I like that,
Yeah.
Kate.
Yep.
Yeah.
Struggle, we fight it, we resist it when we really just
Yeah.
breathe and go with it and have faith.
Yeah, that's when everything changes, eh? That's when everything changes. Um, this has been wonderful. I apologize and thank everybody for their patience. And you girls, thank you for your patience. My last minute running around. Thank God we have this. Um, Kate and I are going to be, Annie, I don't know if you're going to be joining us or not, but we're going to be putting on an 8-week pet loss support group. We're going to be doing it online. So it'll be a private thing. So the 12 people who are involved, it'll just be you guys plus Kate and I. It's starting next Tuesday. We are going to be, we're thinking like 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so around this time frame. The cost is very reasonable. It's only $80, and I should have the landing page up this afternoon. Later on tonight, we've been having some problems, but I think my IT guy messaged me, and I think everything's under control now, and everything's back the way it should be. So I'll be providing a link that you guys can use to sign up for the class. And I think next week, Kate, we might want to think about switching to a different day, because Tuesday night we'll be doing our grief class. So you and I will have to talk about when we could, because we have acceptance, which is probably one of the brightest stages that we'll be talking about. We have to conclude all of this so that people can understand when they're finally at acceptance. So we'll have to chat about when the best time to do that. So, ladies, I want to thank you both very much for joining, and I want to thank everybody out there in Facebook Live, and hopefully next week will go better for us.
It was very quick improvisation, though, Kenda.
It was very quick improvisation. My blood pressure was really high. I don't know how my face was, but I was like, oh my God. And I was telling Kate the story, Annie, before we got live. I used to, I worked with a gentleman back in Canada, and I think I'm safe to talk about this. I'm trying to think of everybody who's on our Facebook group. But this was a gentleman, we used to do business together. And, oh, is that Joey?
There's my rent is due.
Oh. So, but anyways, this you can. Do you want to pull down, Kate? Do you want to go?
He'll go away.
He'll go away.
He'll leave it in the door.
Yeah, he'll be back. So this guy, we broke up, and so he said to me, he said, Kenda, you're never going to be able to do all the stuff that I normally do, because it takes a man to do all that stuff. And I was like, pooey on you.
Wow.
And you know what? Yes, I'll save the profanity, but I did everything that he did. And you know what? I think I do it a lot better. So I just, I just think women can do anything that they put their minds to. And I don't mean to say that, because I know we have some men in our group. Kate, do you have men that are open in your group and talk, or do you find it's mostly women?
Oh, it's mostly women, but the men make up for the men that aren't there.
Do they? Mm-hmm. I know we have some in the.
I've noticed a few. Yes.
They don't say as much as the women, but boy, when they say something, it's jam packed with wisdom.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to have to. Maybe I need to bring Richard on again so that we can get some of the men in the groups talking, and communicating with us, because I'm sure it's got to be uncomfortable for them. And I try to do as much as I can to include that this is female and male. We're all going through this, right?
No matter who you are.
Absolutely. It doesn't just happen to women. So thank you, ladies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank everybody out there. I hope you're going to get some great content out of this. We will sign off for now and tune in
Thank you,
again.
everybody. Thank you,
Thanks.
Kenda. Thank you, Kate. Very good
Bye.
to see you again. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
It's fun.